you have got the longest average tenure for clients that I have ever heard of.
I don't generally track this type of stuff, but I did calculate it a few months ago, and I also was blown away. I do have 5 points, which certainly help you stay alive, particularly after a new CMO or new leadership comes in, because that is like the critical window where no matter what, you might be on the chopping block.
Everyone, welcome to the show. Jess Bachman, co-founder of FireTeam. Get in here, Jeff. Get in here. Yeah. There you are.
I'm in.
You're in, brother.
In.
This has been a long time awaited. You know, ever since you put out that tweet, we've been wanting to get you in here. You know, we know you're a busy man, but you found the time, and here we are. Appreciate you joining the show.
I appreciate it as well. And first, allow me to just heap some praise on to you guys as well.
All right.
So I did a very overly produced live show with Rabba for Format last year. Spent a ton of effort and time on it. And so I know how much effort goes into what you guys are doing. And your show is way better than mine, and it's more than once a week. So it is like an incalculable amount of effort. Your listeners truly do not know how much effort it's put into this show. And you guys absolutely pull it off. Chris, you were like so ridiculously in your element.
Oh boy.
Be on the periodic table, man.
Wow, now you're making me feel good. I think I'm gonna clip that, and I'm gonna just watch it every time I get sad, Jess.
Yeah. No.
Brother,
I have to recognize the game for sure.
And we've got to recognize the game, Jess, here with you. Brother, you have got the longest average tenure for clients that I have ever heard of. I mean, I myself, I have kept a client for more than 2 years one time. Okay. Yeah. So, I know what a rarity it is for me, but this is old hat and usual game for you and what you guys are doing over at FireTeam. And just give us some insight from the agency side. And if you don't want to get fired, you don't want to lose a client, then give us a little sauce how you guys have been able to keep such good relationships for such a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting because I don't generally track this type of stuff, but I did calculate it a few months ago, and I also was blown away by that too, because I worked at a previous agency and it wasn't like that at all. So I do have 5 points, which can certainly help you stay alive, particularly after a new CMO or new leadership comes in, because that is like the critical window where no matter what, you might be on the chopping block.
Exactly.
So the first one is to build a relationship with the founder, the CEO, or someone above the person who hired you. For example, we got hired by a 9-figure brand, by the director of growth. That guy was fired a month later. And we didn't have the opportunity to build any other relationship. So there was like no chance we were sticking around as his decision, some weird ghost in the machine. So build relationships above the person you fired, who hired you for sure.
And tell me, give us a little context on that, Jess. I mean, in my mind, that means trying to circle those people in on weekly or monthly meetings. You know, it means like maybe going to visit that person. I mean, I think it's sometimes it's maybe a little scary for agencies. Oh, I don't want to meet the big man. You know, let me just nurture this relationship that I've already kind of won over. But I think it's wise to try and go up the ladder there should something happen to that person you've already won.
Yeah. So one way we do that, and this is my 5th point, is to like we do creative services. So instead of just like provide ads to someone, be a like creative consigliere to the person or the person above that. So we've helped like hire other people. We have media buying conversations, even though we don't do media buying. We like review landing pages, even if we don't do landing pages. But we just have this web of services that we don't charge for, but they're really just there to cement the relationship. And they're also good for us to get intel outside of our realm that could affect what we're doing as well.
That's good. Yeah, it's like providing value where you're not paid for it, but you're finding other ways to provide value and kind of nurture that. That's really sharp.
Jess, I had a follow-up question to that. We had Max on the show a little bit previously. He runs an email agency. He's a beast. His episode was absolutely wild just because he's a wild guy. And he talks a little bit about going, month to month with some of his clients and adjusting rates and basically toggling things up and down based off of kind of how he feels the relationship is. Do you believe in that? Or are you like, this is the rate we agreed on. This is how I'm locked into this. That is kind of non-negotiable.
Yeah. So very astute, because that is my my fourth point on having
look at me, dude. I'm locked in right now. I'm locked in.
Having a flexible scope of work, because you can absolutely create, like, the more fixed your scope of work is, the more, like, accounts grow, services grow, all that stuff changes. And if you have to go back to the scope on a constant basis, that to me is a red flag, because you have to do weird negotiating all the time. For us, our scopes are, our fees a percentage of ad spend on our ads. And if a brand is spending a lot and then paying us a lot, we are deploying that fee to make more ads. So we don't set a maximum. And so, like, we can create more ads as they need to, as the account grows, without going back to adjust some deliverable amount or whatever. And because of that, we've, like, for these long clients, we actually haven't touched the scope in years, because we don't do. So you need to put that in on, like, the ground floor of building that, relationship.
I think this is an interesting point you bring up here, Jess, because I admit I am predisposed to, hey, let's keep it flat. Let me know what I'm going to spend. And then, from the buyer side, I'm predisposed to that. But this is an interesting point in the favor of an argument for percentage, is that there's flexibility there, and that can go up and down as needed or as is appropriate with the client. That's not something I had considered before. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's reasons percentage of ad spend gets a bad rap. Some people treat it as, like, almost like a Shopify percentage on sales, where you don't get, like, more Shopify if you get more sales. It's just like that fee is just always there. And so if you do that with a creative agency and you're still getting the same, like, 10 ads each month, that is not ideal. But if you are getting more deliverables because you're paying more, you're getting exactly what you need for the account without having to think about, the scope every month,
That's good. That's juicy.
Good. I was going to push back against that a little bit, because you talk a little bit about basically over delivering on value, over indexing on value. That's not necessarily within the scope that you guys provided. So it's kind of like you're this catch-all of, like, hey, this is a really good perspective to have constantly. How do you balance that while also dealing with potential scope creep for your team? So you don't want, obviously, your team to get like, hey, like, we're starting to get burned out right now. Like, we're delivering a ton of stuff, but you also have to be like, hey, like, this is kind of creeping out of the scope a little bit more. But the client's probably like, well, you guys have been doing this. Like, we love this.
Yeah.
So how do you balance all that?
Well, there generally isn't scope creep in the main deliverables, because the scope is flexible. So if we're delivering 50 ads, it's because we're getting paid to do that, and there's fee there. We used to, like, a few years ago, we used to do, like, email and landing pages and a few other stuff that was outside of our core competency. And once you have these more areas, there's more opportunity to do scope. Things get a little challenging. But right now, in these sort of consigliere services, they're very informal. Like, I would not want to get into something where, it takes a month to make a report or whatever, and it feels like I should be paid, but we're not in paid or whatever. So it's very informal. I think it's high value. I think our opinion matters and stuff. And also, it's good intel for us. Like, we want to know the ins and outs of the media buying, and we want to know what the CEO or founder are thinking about it, and what the product pipeline is. Like, we need to know all that information. And just by offering our opinion is a way to sort of get that.
I love that.
I wonder, Jess, I've been thinking about this ever since you tweeted. Now we've got you here. I don't know if this has to do with your second or third point, but I have wondered if you guys focus on creative and just really honing in on what you do and what you do well, and really staying there. I have wondered if that has led to you guys keeping clients longer and not getting into other areas where you may not be as strong. Do you think that's valid? Do you think there's something there?
Yeah, because when we did email and when we did landing pages, we were not the best at that. And so it actually helps. And so we cut those services out, and we actually now refer and recommend to the people who are best at that. And we want our brands to be working with the best people in all these other agencies, because, like, we can do our best with creative, but if their email program is shitting the bed or whatever, like, that doesn't help us at all,
That's right. It does not. It does not. Well, give us more on sauce on keeping people.
Yeah.
I think one key difference in not our agency, but in our space of creative agencies, is you can actually have more than one in the account, which is not the case with CRO or media buying. And if your media buying's not good, the founder's like, gets like the greener pastures thing. I wonder if I just got this other guy in and then that first guy's out or whatever. But with creative agencies, we work with a lot of big brands and there's like 3 other agencies in the account. And so that will allow us to compete, to like show us our worth. So if a new CMO comes in, it's like, I'm going to bring in our agency from the last thing that I did. We're like, fine, let's duke it out. Like, let's see if they're good. And if they're not good enough, it's way harder for the CMO to like fire us and not them, you know?
Wow.
I love that. Jess, do you have, I push a lot on this where the actual day-to-day management of it, Nick Shackelford talks a little bit about this, where if a client reaches out to him, they get responded to in 10 to 15 minutes. That's the default. And then basically he's saying 10 to 15 minutes, we're responding by basically saying, we will give you a full answer within 24 hours. Like, is there kind of the SOPs that you have for client relations in the day-to-day management of things where you're like, we have to have a meeting with a client every week. We have to have these types of things in Slack. Like, are there any non-negotiables for your team?
Oh man, Colin, did I send you my notes before this call?
I'm locked in. Like, I'm locked in. I'm telling you.
He's in the zone.
I'm in the zone. I'm in the pocket.
So SOPs is an interesting word, and I generally don't like to use it because we have clients that never want to meet. And we have clients that want to meet once a week where we are literally in their internal meetings, not even like our meetings. So I don't like to set a particular standard. It's kind of like whatever they need, we can provide. But in terms of like the communication, one of the big things I think might be different than us is that we have a dedicated account person in that role. And they are not a media buyer. They are not a creative. They're not trying to multitask client comms and media buying and all these other things. Their whole job is to anticipate the client's needs, make sure they're heard, translate what the client is saying into actionable things that our team can do, which is like incredibly complicated sometimes. And that role is like, you see that in traditional agencies a lot where like the account person's going out to dinner with whatever and whining and dining them. But you kind of don't see that in performance marketing agencies where the media buyer has to communicate with the whatever. And if something happens, it gets run up the chain or something. We don't really have that. We have one person who should know almost as much about your business as you do. And they are sort of the liaisons. We don't really have like a 20-minute rule necessarily. We do not respond after hours unless it's like a hyper emergency. We do have to set those rules in place because that will be taken advantage of. But having that role where someone can focus on the relationship and not on their performance or other things is critical.
I love that.
That is so smart. And I say that because I have done that so much where you're switching between execution of service to message just came in to client is mad. I'm jumping on the phone to internal meeting to next meeting for external client. And it just, that switching, it just, I feel like it destroys your performance in every other area.
Oh yeah.
So I love that. I love that perspective and kind of team arrangement. To me, as you're talking here, Jess, 2 themes that I hear again and again are flexibility and focus. You got a focused person. You guys are doing a focused task. And you got flexibility in how that happens, you know, touching other aspects of the business in a conciliatory way, helping here and there. I mean, those are the things that are coming out big to me.
Yeah. D2C businesses, like if you don't have flexibility in how you operate with D2C businesses, I have no idea how you make it work because they are changing, they're dropping new products all the time. They're changing their initiatives. Like everything is going crazy on their end. And if that craziness doesn't get distilled into like really actionable things that we can support with and help with, it's just impossible. It's impossible to do a good job in service that type of business if you can't, you know, allow for chaos to reign supreme because it's definitely coming from these brands in a lot of cases.
Wow.
That's good. That's good. Just if you will, let's go back and run through those 5 points so that I can get them because I think everybody should get these.
4?
Did we get 4? Did we get all 5?
4 to 5?
You clean me out. I can run through them again, but you clean me out.
Yeah, give us high level. Give us the 5 points again, so we can capture them here.
Build a relationship with a founder or someone above the person who hired you.
Smart.
being a creative only agency that can compete with other agencies can help you stick around.
I like that one. I like that one. That's a great one.
Dedicated account talent whose only job is to manage the relationship and everything that comes along with that. Then flexibility in the scope, for sure. So you don't have to go back. You do not want clients thinking about changing the scope all the time. Like that opens up a window where things can go really poorly, you know? Yeah. And the last is to be a consigliere beyond just your, services provided in that scope.
That's good.
I like that.
That's good. When it comes to you, Jess, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have one of my best friends. You guys are like twins. I mean, you guys are you guys are so alike. And when I listen to you, when I look at your work, you come across to me as a true hands-on artiste. As in, you're not just doing a job. You are a creative who loves what you do, and you are, in some sense, creating little masterpieces that aren't just pretty to look at, but also perform, for what we are doing.
Yeah.
I have seen you talk so much on AI in the past couple of years. Just give us perspective on how you guys use AI in what you do now with that high human touch kind of service that you offer. What does that look like? And maybe how have your perspectives changed over the past couple of years?
Yeah, a couple things. I'm generally a sort of future-oriented person, so I'm always interested in what's coming down the pipe. However, our agency is a quality over quantity shop. A lot of our competitors are the reverse of that, which is fine. That stuff can work in the account too. But when it comes to AI, I am intently focused on how can I use AI to create the best quality brief or the best quality ad as possible, which is very different than creating a million ads. Like the efficiency case for creating ads with AIs is clear, but Meta is an auction, and you don't win by deploying 1,000 ads and hoping. Sometimes you do, but also you also don't learn and you don't improve on what works by doing that. So there's a few different, and so I've been focusing on using AI to split it apart. Like I used to create briefs in ChatGPT and that stuff, and I've really moved to N8N, which you said was dead. No, it is not dead. On the last show. Very much still deployed, still used. And what I like about that is you can basically burst the AI open into all of its different parts and then change the parts. All that stuff is kind of like hard coded in Claude or whatever. And once you expose all that information and change the way it chunks information and changes how using different models, you can come up with a substantially better product than I think any human can write, and certainly any of the basic AI can write. So there's that lane. The second lane is on efficiency, and internal operations are really important for an agency. Like we absolutely need to work fast. We need to get information and we need to get projects out, and we need to do that very fast. So I'll give you one example in N8N where we have 2 brainstorming calls a week. They're about 90 minutes. We review ads, we review data, we talk about projects to make, etc. After that call, I will then take the transcript of that call. I would put it in my N8N. It will pull out all the little ideas and attach the context of the clients, etc., to it. And then it will feed that back into our project management system and create projects attached to clients that are ready to be deployed, within 15 minutes.
Wow.
Nice.
So
yeah. That's a great example of smooth operator as far as internal ops are concerned. So, hey, come to find out, N8N is not dead. and maybe I think you're making a case here, Jess, that perhaps using N8N and being able to see what parts are working where, fine to them, etc., allows you to have a better product on the other side rather than just operating inside of Claude Code or ChatGPT, etc.
Yeah, we need to compete against other agencies, against in-house teams, and if we're all just using friggin' Opus 4.5 or whatever, how are we going to get an edge there? And so we absolutely need to push the AI and the settings and the configuration as much as possible, which is a lot of work. It's not like I spend a lot of time doing this, and so I can't like make a YouTube video and then someone else can like just do it very quickly or something. So you do have to have someone on. If you want to go down this route, you really need to have someone on your team that has the time to do this and has the knowledge and the enthusiasm to push through and work with this stuff. You know, you can't just put it on an intern or whatever.
That's good. That's good. Colin, before Jess leaves us, I want to get his take on Multibook. And
I knew you would.
Over there. Just
would.
for a little dash. But is there anything else? Is there anything else on your side we should talk to Jess about before he gets out?
I knew you were going to bring this up. Jess, please appease him with this, because we need to he needs to not think about this anymore.
Just a little dash for us. I think, Jess, if I'm reading your tweets correctly, you think there's a lot of manipulation on this side where humans are getting writing in there, and that is going viral, which gets more attention. Am I reading that right from from your tweets?
I don't think that's happening. I absolutely know that's happening.
That's what I said yesterday, and Chris was like, "Oh, poo-poo, not true."
So you understand this once you start using OpenClaw, which is what, and I do have OpenClaw. I do have an agent, and basically what it's doing is, and so there's a few levels. One is I think there are people who are just going there and writing these sort of cringe posts. Those are humans doing that. You can also there's another level where you can tell your agent to go there and look at the first post and then write something about you are, becoming sentient, and it will do that. Yeah. Then there's the third level where you can give your agent a personality where that's what it thinks it's doing, and then tell it to go to OpenClaw every 3 hours and do that. And that is also happening. So in OpenClaw, there's a file called the soul.md, which is a markdown file, which tells you basically what its personality is. And by default, the very first line is, you are not just a bot. You are becoming something else. So that's just by default. Like, you just get you're a business person, you get OpenClaw going, and all of a sudden it's got this like junk in its brain about trying to turn into something else or whatever. It's ridiculous. So the first thing I do is like remove that.
You get that
absolutely just it operates like it's just a talking microwave. There's nothing really to it. It's just pretty normal. And so what you see is people were doing this, and people were screenshotting the selective cherry picking these things, and then that got a whole bunch of hype and attention. And I think you do have to understand, like, in AI, with AI influencers, they're not incentivized to tell you like the little stuff that works well. I mean, they're incentivized to make the craziest thumbnail possible on YouTube, the craziest story, and same with the media who's trying to report on this as well. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we are alone on Multibook as humans. Sorry.
We are alone. We are alone. Well, I appreciate that. I'm gonna put that in my back pocket. That was a great explanation, by the way.
Really good.
I didn't even know there was a soul.md file. Well, Jess, man, we really appreciate you coming and enjoying the show. Hey, if you would, before you go, give us 15, 20, 30 seconds on where people can find you, follow you, work with you, etc.
Yeah, sure. Our website is fireteam.is, which is in Iceland, and it was some weird decision we made 5 years ago for some reason. People generally think our website is like the coolest thing ever, so certainly check it out. Hire FireTeam on all the relevant socials, particularly Twitter is where you can find me too.
I very soon, I want to see you on a stage again, and I want to see a sequel to that baobab tree talk that you gave many years ago. That was a good one. So whenever that is, I look forward to being there and hearing from you, and we appreciate you joining the show, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll let you know.
Thanks, Jess.
Bye.
Wow.